It is once again time for the BTO Sunday recap. As always, I'm Kevin Bunk, joined by Michael Merlo. We're absolutely pumped to be here once again every Sunday at 7:30. Mike, an awesome football Sunday today. Every time slot had great games. Thursday night was a great game too, but we're not going to talk about it. But a really good week 3. We started with the most shocking game, or the most shocking result for me. The Panthers absolutely stomped the Falcons 30-0. I could not believe this.
Yeah, it was crazy. PENIX, who, listen, offensively, they didn't look great on Sunday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings last week, but you expected them to come in here against a struggling Carolina team who played well in the second half against the Cardinals last week and almost had a miraculous comeback. But, I mean, to expect Atlanta to just lay a complete egg and get blown out here was absolutely shocking. So, for me, I'm very concerned about Atlanta, because this is a team I felt good about. Even after week 1 losing to the BUCS, I felt good about this team going to the postseason. I don't know about that right now.
If you would have told me before the week Carolina's going to edge one out at home here, I would have said, all right, you know what? Yeah. They're due. I think they have more talent than they've shown, but they just got killed. And I got to say, this is not like an overreaction portion for the end of the show when we do them. I think Zach Robinson's a bad OC, and they're just running a lot of boring pistol, no motion. They're not distributing the ball well. PENIX looked horrendous today, but he hasn't looked great in any of the 3 games this year. In game 1, he looked good for sure, and we were on him. But last week, I didn't think it was a great offensive showing against Minnesota, and this week was an absolute mess. So I'm a little bit worried about Robinson, and I know we haven't been high on their coaching staff, so it's not crazy.
Well, we haven't been high on Raheem Morris, and let me ask you this question. They obviously went to Kirk Cousins after this game was basically done. If they feel like PENIX is the reason why they are losing football games, which I don't know if I'm there yet. Today, yes, he turned the ball over. Carolina had a defensive touchdown, maybe 2, a couple of takeaways, though. When do they go to Cousins? Are they going to consider it all this season with the money that they are paying him, and they're clearly not trading him? Are they ever going to consider going back to Kirk Cousins at some point this season?
I really thought this was a problem that they kept him. I thought they should have figured out a way to get him off this team. The same way the Patriots, different context, but the same way the Patriots made sure they got rid of Milton so that it wasn't a problem, because now it's a problem. Because PENIX was horrible today. You're paying all this money to Cousins. I don't think they ever go to him, because this is the quarterback that this regime is now completely tied to in PENIX. Mm-hmm. And it's an awful look if Cousins plays and starts. But there's an internal conversation to be had for sure. And that is in itself a huge issue.
And I don't know if I trust this coaching staff or these front office personnel. I don't know if I trust them to make these tough decisions, because they are tough.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. And the last thing you need is the situation where Drake London and Kyle Pitts want one quarterback, but Bijan and someone else wants another quarterback, and then there's that division offensively. And if the coordinator is not agreeing with who should be at quarterback with the coach and the front office, that becomes a mess, and that totally derails a season.
No, 100%. 100%. And, I mean, you got to look at London and Pitts, obviously, Mooney. They can't be happy with what's been going on. They can't be happy with this level of quarterback play through the last 2 weeks. And on Carolina's side, Bryce Young was not great today. So there's a lot going on in my house right now. I have a lot of people over, but just leave it at that.
No worries. Let's move on to the second most shocking result. This felt like a trap game, but the Packers lose to Cleveland on the road, and the Browns, who have just shown all year so far and last year that this defense can be elite. This defense is elite, and they pick up a monster week 3 win.
We had that over here. We had the Browns plus the 7.5. This was a game where you looked at it and you just thought, obviously, Green Bay was going to roll. There was a point in time where they just couldn't finish drives, but then they had gotten up 10-0, and you're like, okay, the game's over. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't. It wasn't. And then they had the blocked field goal, obviously. For Green Bay to lose this game, for me, as much as I was hyping them up the first 2 weeks, this knocked them off a pedestal, because I'm very high on the Rams. Obviously, when we talk about them, we'll get to them. But I was high on the Packers. I knocked them down because this is the kind of loss that I don't trust LaFleur in these massive situations. And I'm not saying this was a massive situation, but it's a tight game. You're on the road, and it's a game you should win. I really thought that this was a bad look on LaFleur in Green Bay.
And Jordan Love, he throws the interception and 183 yards, touchdown. It's like this offense, whether it's him or the playmakers that are just subpar all around this Green Bay offense, I don't trust them to win games and to win consistently. And that's why I've been hesitant to just go all in on this Green Bay conversation of a Super Bowl team and the leader of the pack in the NFC, even in the NFC North, because they just don't feel like one of those elite teams.
I think I'm there in the NFC North. I don't know about the NFC because, again, I think we were knocking the Eagles off a little too fast even prior to the year, and I'm guilty of that. And the Rams, obviously. I was very high on the Rams. But at the end of the day, it's just when you have a win like that, a loss like that, for Green Bay, it's tough.
And you look around this team and these playmakers offensively. First of all, their offensive line got manhandled today. Mason Graham had a monster day.
And they've had a lot of injuries too.
They've had a lot of injuries, but I looked through this receiving group, and for the most part, I know Reed and Watson aren't playing, but how much do they actually add to your football team? And Golden had kind of his first game of being involved today, but Josh Jacobs is not the top 5 running back that a lot of Packers fans want to make him out to be. He is not a breakaway home run hitter. He's not great in the receiving game. He actually adds nothing in the receiving game. 16 for 30 on the ground today. Cleveland's run defense is the best in football, but I'm just not high on this Packers offense at all after today.
No, the weapons were a concern going into the season, but you thought some of these younger guys would step up, especially with better health. But I think that this running game will be good enough, especially when offensive linemen get healthy.
Yeah, and again, today, I think Mason Graham had close to a 50% pass rush win rate today. And I just have one point on the Cleveland side with Graham. The Browns hit this draft out of the park. And I said that right after the draft. I said they were my best drafting team from the weekend. I loved what they did. And they added Graham, who looks like a stud. They added Fannin, who looks like a stud. Judkins looks great 2 games in. Schlesinger looks great 3 games in. And the Browns have the foundation of a little bit of rejuvenation after their miserable last 2 years. And then we'll see if the quarterbacks give you anything. But I love their draft showing up on the field.
Well, they have a chance also to go get a quarterback, too. That's the one thing about drafting so well and which they did this year, getting a top player. They were able to now set up for next season as well, which is very important.
Absolutely. Let's move on here. Texans, Jaguars. I don't like to take victory laps. If you know one thing about me, I'm not a guy to really victory lap. I don't like to really boast in that way. But where are the Texans fans who were absolutely ripping me after week 1 saying that football team's not that good? Because they're not. This feels like a 5 or 6 win team. And now at 0-3, losing to Jacksonville, you lost a heartbreaker on Monday night to Tampa. You got smoked in week 1 by the Rams. I just do not see a light at the end of the tunnel for this team in 2025.
I'm going to hold off what I have to say about them because I have a feeling it's going to be the first thing that goes out on social media tonight. So I'll hold off on that. Jags, not impressed still. Brian Thomas Jr. is nowhere to be found, but you're able to get a division win, and now you're 2-1. So that's the one thing they can hang their hat on. And if they're able to get better under Cohen here as the year goes on, you could set yourself up for an interesting division race with the Colts at the end of this year. But I think the Colts are going to run away with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too. I'll jump quick to Bengals Vikings. Whoa. What happened here? Vikings absolutely blow the doors off of Cincinnati. I know Browning's in, but so is Wentz. And he was good. Vikings were great around him, and their defense just shut it down today.
Isaiah Rodgers, 2 touchdowns, 3 forced fumbles. Unbelievable. 3 forced turnovers, excuse me. He was unbelievable. And yeah, Wentz was good enough. I have a question for you. Let's say I'm pretty sure JJ's out this week, even if he was able to come back. I think he's out this week. They already had said Wentz would start. If you were Kevin O'Connell, and I think O'Connell's in that same class right now as McVay, as Shanahan, where they're kind of these QB offensive geniuses, where they believe that they could stick anybody in a quarterback and they could run. If they believe they can run their system, they don't care who the name is, how much money they're making, where they were drafted. They're going to go with that guy. Do you think that if JJ McCarthy was healthy enough this week, he would go back to JJ, or would he stick with Carson here?
I think you stick with Carson. I think you ride with Carson until he shows you otherwise. Because I think the easy thing for O'Connell right now with JJ is you sit him down and you sit down with whoever needs to be involved in the decision, and you say, listen, we're 2-1 right now. Carson just gave us a really good game. He's a veteran. I want you to watch him right now. And with the media, we're just going to say we're taking it slow in your time getting back. We're not rushing you back into things. We like the quarterback we have out there right now. Yeah. So it's just an easy situation for him because Pittsburgh's defense has not looked very good. You get him on Sunday morning next week in London. And, or is that an Ireland game?
It's one of them. I think
it's the Ireland game. But still, you get him at 9:30. That's our first morning game. And I'm just riding with Carson in that game. And he got you a win today, and their defense is sick. And Jordan Mason is one of the best 7 running backs in the league. He is awesome.
You're a big Mason guy.
I love Mason. I told you you told me you drafted Aaron Jones in fantasy. I was like, dude, huge mistake. Got to get Mason.
I got Mason too. Today he got the start, and it was great. And you're the reason why. I would have that was in the middle of the draft. I drafted in the next round. Like, you're the reason why I have it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna win. When you win, you give me a couple bucks.
I give you a couple bucks, exactly. Well, I'll take you to the Massapequa Diner. How about this? The Bengals. I mean, what a mess! Like, obviously, everything from the turnovers to not having Burrow. We know how great Burrow is and how valuable he is, but he is literally duct tape to this organization that is just completely falling apart. That was embarrassing. I understand it's a tough place to play. That was one of the easier games of the day. That should have been my 3-point pick today. I ended up betting it anyway, but. Disgusting performance from Cincinnati. And I got to say, is Zach Taylor going to be able to duck under the fact that there's no Burrow here? Or is he going to get canned if this year ends as bad as it looks it's going to be?
Again, I still can't trust their ownership to actually fire somebody. But let's look through their schedule here in Cincinnati.
Sure.
With Browning. You're going to get at Denver next week. Loss.
That's a loss.
Home against the Lions. Loss. At Green Bay. Loss. Now you're 2-5. Home against Pittsburgh. If Browning's playing, I don't love it on a short week on a Thursday night. I don't love that game. It's in Cincinnati.
I think they could win that game.
They could win that.
I'm not high on Pittsburgh.
And then you're home against the Jets, home against the Bears, and then at Pittsburgh. So you could win a couple of those games, but by the time Thanksgiving comes around, you're out. It's over.
Well, Burrow, 3 months from right now, Burrow's not going to be coming back to playoffs.
He's not. And then after Thanksgiving, the schedule is Baltimore, Buffalo, Miami, Arizona, and Cleveland. So
might be losing 2 wins there.
4 of those. Yeah, it's just they're in trouble here. This is a really bad situation, and I wonder where the breaking point is for them. I think they lose the locker room this year badly because the Hendrickson thing. I don't think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are going to be thrilled with their stats, even though they just got paid. And Chase Brown's total 0 right now. I think this is the year that they lose the locker room in Cincinnati.
They got to go make a move for a Winston or a Kirk Cousins if he's available. I mean, they got to go make that move to go get another guy. And I'm a Browning fan. I actually don't think Browning's a terrible backup quarterback. But if it's going to look like it did today, you need to try something else. And again, I don't think Winston's very good. I don't think Cousins is very good at this point, but they might be better than Browning.
Yeah, and I'm just totally discouraged. If I'm them tomorrow morning, I'm calling up the Giants, and I'm saying,
here's a 5th-round pick.
Assuming you're 0-3, what do I have to give you for Russell Wilson? Because I don't care about Jameis. What can I get for the veteran minimum 1-year deal of Russell Wilson? I will give you a late day 2 pick or an early day 3 pick.
Yeah, I think the Giants are probably accepting that. They'll go to Russ and say, hey, you have a chance to win.
The week after you have the Saints, and you could put Dart into that game, or you could put Jameis in, and you don't feel worse. You're 0-3 if they lose tonight.
Right,
I'm calling for Russell Wilson.
Right. Okay, that's interesting.
Next game, Steelers in New England. Lot to unpack on the Patriots side of things, but again, this is just one of those classic Tomlin wins on the Steelers side where they get a team that's worse than them. They find a way to scrap it out, get the win, and advance to, having a winning record 2-1 after 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't feel great about either of these teams, especially Pittsburgh. I mean, not at all. Thought May played well, but again, a couple of big mistakes and the turnovers on the New England side in general. So I just don't love either of these teams right now. And Aaron Rodgers is not good today. I mean, they got lucky with the turnovers, winning the turnover battle. This is not a playoff team, but they actually might sneak into the postseason, which is scary. Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So I'm not high on any of these teams. Yeah, I'm not high on these guys. I'm really not. I'm not high on any of them. But May did have some good moments today.
New England's got a turnover problem, and May is a part of it. He has shown you some good stuff. He reminds me of early on, I've made this comparison the whole offseason, Sam Darnold, who in his early career just was so close to breaking through, and the turnover issues was a huge problem, and he was never able to get out of it, and he was never able to put up points. I don't know where Patriots fans, I think we were both on this, but I don't know where Patriots fans expected this offense to come from in 2025. Like, they have nothing offensively, but Travion Henderson's got to play. He's got to start play. He got 11 carries today, 28 yards. He's not looking great, but he's got to play more because Stevenson's got a huge fumble problem. Gibson lost one today.
Doing? What's the point of throwing Stevenson out there anyway? That's the thing that I am asking right now.
No, there's no point.
It's crazy.
I'm
not high on either of these teams. And I wasn't high on New England coming into the year. I wasn't, because I was with you where I didn't see where the offense was going to come from.
Like, Diggs stinks.
Oh, terrible.
Diggs, it's over.
Terrible.
He hasn't been good in 3 years.
And Cardi B's pregnant. I mean, it's...
And allegedly another woman's pregnant, too, at the same time.
Look at him.
I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if that's true, but this is, I mean, Diggs, more pregnancies than touchdowns through 3 weeks of the NFL this year.
Hey, good for him. Good for him.
And then on the other side of things, Metcalf, I cannot believe he got $150 million from this team.
Yeah.
I'm not even blaming him for his stat line, because I agree with you that Rodgers stunk today and he does not look good. And their offensive line looks awful and they can't run the ball at all, Pittsburgh. But man, he absolutely took them to the woodshed on this contract and trade.
Robbing them blind. It's so bad. I had made a point earlier in the year that, I forget who I was doing the show with, and I said that DK's overrated, but he's a good player, but he's overrated and he's not worth the money that he got. And there were people on social media who were like, this is crazy. And like, I really don't think it's crazy. And I think you're seeing that right now. He's not elevating this wide receiver room. He's not making everybody else better. And he's not, what is he doing for Rodgers right now? It's just, I don't love it. I don't love the fit. Not at Rodgers' age. I don't love the fit.
I don't either. Because
3 years ago, I like it.
Now you're tying him to the next quarterback and this future. 2 years from now, Pittsburgh's going to look so different because you have all these veterans on defense: Hayward, Slay, Ramsey, and even Watt. Like, where is this team at in 2 years? It's going to be a completely different look for the Steelers, and I don't like Metcalf being tied to that future. But let's move on. Eagles, Rams, it just lives up to it. The fourth quarter was great. The middle quarters were a little lame, but who cares? Fourth quarter was awesome. And all the dramatics, you ended with the blocked field goal, takes it back for a touchdown. Didn't matter, but that was just a great game.
It did matter for the people that had +3.5 with the Rams. Yeah. I was not one of those people. I feel awful for you if you were. I'm very sorry, but it did matter for the people.
That's rough.
Spread, Kevin. That is absolutely brutal. I think I'd be done. I think I'd have to quit. But how about special teams today? Big. Obviously, you saw a lot of not only defensive touchdowns, but blocked kicks, which is massive. And the Eagles get 2, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, and then Jordan Davis with the block and then return. This game was interesting because Saquon, who had 2 of his best games of his career last season, came against the Rams.
Yep.
Thought the Rams did a really good job against Saquon today. But in the middle of this game, when the Eagles said, okay, we need to flip a switch here, we need to air this ball out, they were able to do it. Getting the ball to A.J. Brown, not being able to bring A.J. Brown down. And Jalen made some big-time throws. And again, proving people wrong that say he's not a pocket passer, that say he can't throw. He proved them wrong today with a huge game.
At what point... When is the game where everybody just says Jalen Hurts is great? Jalen Hurts is an elite top 5 quarterback, because I felt this way for a while. All he does is win. And today is one of those examples against the Rams where Saquon could not do much and Hurts was able to just take the game into his hands and put the game on his arm and win it. I think Hurts is just an awesome, awesome quarterback. And I'm really tired of the disrespect he gets. And I'm not even an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
And all he does is win. That's the only thing he knows how to do.
He's a winner. I get it. Listen, when we're talking about the top 5 quarterbacks in this league, when we're talking about Allen and Lamar and Mahomes and Burrow and whoever you want to put 5, Daniels, this or that, you need to see it consistently. So the reason why I won't put him into that class and I'll put him in the tier below that is because you don't see these excellent performances on a regular basis. Yes, you see the winning. Yes, you see the tush push. Yes, you see them just completely grind you out and win the game on the ground. You see these, but you don't see these kinds of performances where he airs it out all the time. And if he did that, there would be no question. I don't think anybody would be questioning where he ranks on the list of top 5, top 10 quarterbacks. But they don't have to win like this every week. That's what's so special about this team, is that they could just control the clock, run the football, and beat the hell out of you.
Let me ask you a question that may be controversial here.
Yeah.
You're starting a franchise.
Yeah.
Pick one quarterback to start your franchise with, Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow, and factor in everything that comes with each player. Injuries, they're about the same age. Who are you taking? Because I think I'm taking Hurts.
This is a great conversation. I'm going to take Burrow because I've seen Burrow do a lot with less. Mm-hmm. I've never seen Jalen Hurts do this without a top 5 offensive line, without big time receivers. I saw him without big time receivers. He wasn't that good. And yes, it was early in his career. But I've seen Joe Burrow with terrible offensive lines and a questionable coaching at times. I've seen him go to a freaking Super Bowl.
I think Burrow's a better quarterback by a slim margin, but the injuries are the issue for me. I think Hurts is great, though. He's very durable, obviously, but I agree with you. We've seen Burrow do more with less, and the Bengals' offensive line has just been the biggest disaster. If you put Burrow in Philly, we're probably calling him the best quarterback in the league.
It's probably, if you put Burrow on that team, it's a dynasty. It's a dynasty.
And Hurts might make it one also, but either way, I thought that was a good conversation. I was thinking about that today.
Great, love it.
Quick hit, BUCS, Jets in Tampa. It turns out to be actually an exciting game. Brutal loss for the Jets, but Tampa starts 3-0. 3 straight weeks with a comeback in the final 60 seconds where they trailed and they win the game. Says a lot about their team. A lot of credit to Baker on that, but this was a must-win for Tampa, and for the Jets, just a brutal shortcoming for the second time this year.
Another tough one for the Jets, losing it last second there, in the fourth quarter. Mayfield pretty good, Irving pretty good, but the story for me, besides Mike Evans leaving the game with a hamstring injury, and I did not read what Schefter had said about him, but Emeka Egbuka is unbelievable. He's the next great receiver in this league. And as Mike Evans' career, and I'm not saying he's washed up, but as he starts to head up there in age, the BUCS have another guy right here waiting to take over as the number 1 wide receiver in Tampa Bay.
I got some heat for putting him at number 1 in my draft rankings for wide receivers. And I get that because Ted McMillan was so great in college and he was such a great prospect. And he looked great today, too. We didn't even mention him, but he looked great today. Egbuka was the leading receiver at Ohio State all time. He was the best blocking receiver in college football. And for an organization like Tampa Bay, who's been so great at drafting, to acknowledge that and understand how to use him and get him involved, it's not a surprise because they just do such a great job there. I mean, we've spoken about it a few times. We're going to talk about it the whole year. This organization is as well run as any in football right now. And he is just a huge add, another draft success for Jason Light.
Yeah. And on the Jets side of things, you love the fight. You love that they're able to come back in this game. But again, I know you don't want to take moral victories. I will for this season. I think I will, because this isn't going to be a pretty season. And the fact that you're in 2 out of 3 of these games against good teams, by the way.
That's a tough first 3 weeks. As much as we don't like Pittsburgh, that's a tough first 3 weeks. Now they go to Miami on Monday, and that
must win.
Feels like that could really put a bad taste on Glenn's first season if you lose that game.
It could, especially with the way that things are going in Miami and the heat that Mike McDaniel's getting. That could feel like an early, if there was going to be a must win for the Jets, must win.
Yeah, just not to make the playoffs or anything. I think we're out on that. But
Yeah.
You got to win that. What did you think, not that it's relevant, of the Glenn sideline antics
Love
on
it.
the touchdown?
Love it.
I loved it too.
Love it.
A lot of Jets fans who are like, this is embarrassing. I don't feel that way at all.
I love Glenn. So I think he's just, that's him. That's his personality. He's going to freak out. And the one thing about Saleh that I hated is that the energy felt manufactured throughout his time in San Francisco. And then when he was the head coach of the Jets, I feel like Glenn is just, he's a real dude. He's going to let you know how he feels. And when you watch him, you're going to know exactly how he feels based on his emotion and what he's doing. And I think everything is so genuine with him. I'm just a big fan of his, so I loved it.
And a real difference in this game is the pick six. I mean, Taylor throwing the pick six and Wilson not going to the ball in the pick six basically loses the Jets the game. They lose by 2 points, and that felt like the difference in most of the game. So that was a rough one. I'd imagine Fields is their starter on Monday Night Football against the Dolphins next week. I think they'll go back to him after the concussion. But let's move on. Colts-Titans. A lot of people were on the Titans this week. I could not get there with it. I thought it would be a closer game. Colts are just on a roll right now.
I was all over the Titans. You know, it's not a disrespect thing to Daniel Jones or the Colts. It was just like just a good spot for the Titans here at home. And, you know, Cam Ward has shown you some good things today. Not so much. This is about Daniel Jones. This is about the Colts. This is about them playing incredibly well. Tyler Warren is a fantastic ball player. And I think as more time goes on, we're really going to sit here and start questioning the Bears more because Loveland over this guy looks absolutely insane right now.
Jonathan Taylor right now, too, feels like the best running back in the league. He has just been a monster.
Looks like he's back to that form, 100%.
Yep. Back to the guy he was 3 years ago. Today, 102 yards, 3 touchdowns. This was the first game where Jones really didn't have to do much for them to still put up 41 points. On the other side of things, Cam Ward and the Titans offense does not look ready to be in NFL games right now. Cam Ward especially just he hasn't looked like, I'm not going to sit here and say this guy really stinks, but he has not looked special yet or like he's one of these recent rookies, Daniels, Herbert, one of these guys, Stroud, that just step right into it.
He might have the talent too, and I think he has that mentality to be that guy, but I think the coaching staff's failing him, and I was a fan of Callahan, but I don't think this is going to work out. I think at the end of the year, they're gonna give him the can. There's been way too much turnover there. So I think they're going to fire him at some point, especially if this does not start to look better and you start seeing some wins. You're in a bad division where those games are very winnable. And I'm not saying today was winnable. I'm not saying they should have won that game. But the games against the Texans feel winnable. The games against the Jaguars could be winnable. And when you're not winning those games, if they're not, I think that the owner is going to make a change.
Early hot take that's totally irrelevant to what we're talking about today. I think that Tennessee will be coached next year by one of Matt Nagy or Steve Spagnuolo. Whoever is not in line for that Kansas City job after Reed, because Borgonzi is going to be there saying, I'm not going to tie myself to this coach because this is a disaster. I'm going to tie myself to the quarterback, get my own coach. And I don't think this job's going to be incredibly attractive because of that turnover and because of a bad rookie year from Ward. So he's going to have to go to one of those coordinators in Kansas City.
I just don't think Ward is. I think Ward will be a guy that people want to coach.
I just don't. I agree, but I don't think it's going to be like Johnson going to Caleb this past offseason and saying, like, we could have a real star here. I think there's just way more risk in Tennessee.
Gun to your head. Spags gets the job, right?
Spags would get it,
for Kansas City.
For Kansas City,
yes, and then Nagy would go, and then I think you'd rather the offensive guy too, honestly.
Yeah, I'd agree. Commanders, Raiders, Mariota just absolutely shreds Vegas, and all of my hype about the Raiders has just died in the last 6 days.
Yeah, I got nothing here. The Raiders are terrible. They're as bad as I think I had thought coming into this season. You started to get me there a little bit. I was week 1. I was like, was I wrong on the Raiders? No, the offensive line is really bad. They're not that great defensively. Don't love the weapons. And J.T. really just does not look good because of that offensive line being poor, and Geno sucks. So there we go.
Yeah, Geno had some garbage time. How about Trey Tucker today, though? 8 for 145 and 3 touchdowns for the Raiders. He's having a nice early season. Brock Bowers has really not done much yet this year, only 38 yards today. and he's had that knee injury. But on the other side, good win for the Commanders. And I do have to say, even though he didn't show it in the stat line, I think Debo was a really nice pickup for them because we saw him on special teams make an impact today, and they've been using him in the run game and in the receiving game to a nice compliment to everybody else.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Saints, Seahawks, again, not much on this game to talk about, but Seattle feels like the real deal. And you want to talk about first-year head coaches struggling. It could not be going worse for Kellen Moore right now. They just got absolutely destroyed. If this team doesn't have the first pick, I'd be surprised.
Yep, 100%. This was disgusting. Seattle, I think I was wrong on them coming into the year.
Yep.
Seattle's pretty good. I will say that.
I agree.
So, I like what they're able to do, and defensively, and maybe Darnold is getting comfortable, and maybe Darnold is going to be the real deal. Who the hell knows?
How attractive is Clint Kubiak as a head coach candidate this offseason if Seattle wins 12 games and Darnold's really good? Because Kubiak had the flashes with the Saints last year as the OC in those first couple weeks with Carr, and now I think he's one of the guys in a weaker head coaching class that if there's a lot of openings, he's a guy that could definitely get poached.
Well, I mean, based on what you had been telling me early this year, there's not that many candidates that are going to be big time coordinators, to be candidates for head coaching jobs. So I think if it does continue to look good with Darnold, who's in another new situation, that'll be attractive to other teams.
Awesome performance today from the Chicago Bears. They smoked the Cowboys. It had to happen. The Bears had to win this game. We were both on them all week. I picked up Caleb, started him in fantasy football.
You were on the Bears too.
I was so high on Chicago this week, and Caleb lived up to it. And how nice was it to see Caleb Williams having fun playing football today? As a guy who's rooting for him, as somebody who is afraid to get off the bandwagon, to get off the train with Williams, he gets up against a bad defense at home, and they shredded him. They absolutely shredded him. Johnson pulled out the trick play early, and it was an awesome moral victory in a game that a team actually won in Chicago.
The one thing I'll say is there were big plays, and he looked good, and he looked comfortable, and he was having fun, but it just didn't feel like the easy stuff was there and easy for him. Like, yes, he made the big throw to Adunze for the touchdown. They had the trick play. I understand that. But like the issues that I had with him coming into this game, which was let's take the easy completions, let's get comfortable early. There was completion percentage. What was I saw it was 12 for 20 at one point. I want to believe in him too, and I'm not going to get off the bandwagon. He did finish 67.9%, and the stat line looks great. But I want to see this guy really succeed and now it be consistent.
I hate Ryan Poles, if I haven't said that on this show yet. Their running game is a disgrace.
DeAndre Swift sucks. He sucks.
He always has. He's always been awful. And he has no explosiveness. He's running in quicksand. He took the big screen today, 40 yards. But he's horrible. And they completely failed by adding Swift or keeping Swift and adding Monungai as really their only moves in the backfield. It's just an awful, awful running back room.
It is. Listen, DeAndre Swift, I don't love the advanced stats. The advanced stats tell you DeAndre Swift sucks. He's sucked for a couple of years.
And the eye test.
Terrible.
Talk about a real eye test guy.
Well, this year, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I'm getting really bad news on fantasy baseball right now. I'm in semifinals categories. I'm getting bad news right now on it. Of course, there's 2 games on a Sunday night. Why are there 2 games tonight? This can't be 1 game and it be over. Are we serious? Anyway, sorry.
Back to football. Cowboys suck.
Cowboys suck. Defense sucks. Listen, when everybody tells you something is disgusting, that nobody should, it's disgusting. It's vile that you're doing it. Taking the Bears in a football game against the Cowboys like this, you know you're right. Good for us.
Yep. Good for us.
Defense is terrible. They lost Lamb early. That's tough if they're going to lose him for any extended period of time.
They're in trouble.
they're in big trouble. They cannot move the ball. Their running backs, you saw today, came back down to earth. Javonte Williams still sucks, and Miles Sanders is still awful. So yeah, not much on them. They looked really great against the bad Giants team last week, and that's about it.
Massive Chargers win. They moved to 3-0 over the Broncos. They win it late, and Herbert, again, a good game. Stat line doesn't totally show it, but he made some big throws down the stretch, and they pick up a massive, massive division win. This would have put the Broncos in first place. It would have had the Chargers in second, but instead the Chargers now gain ground. You look at them in this division, 3-0. Chiefs are 0-2. The best scenario for Kansas City, or the worst scenario for the Chargers, is everybody's 1-2 after week 3, and they're 3-0.
They're running away. They're running away. 3 division wins to start the year. Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. Chargers are rolling. Defense is really good. Super pumped about what they've been able to do. And for the Broncos, it's a slow start. It's not a great start at all. They got to be a little concerned here with the way they've started out. Even in the win, they did not look great. So I trust Peyton will get this going, and I trust Peyton will get them into the postseason. But it's starting to become a little bit more clear now why some people were on the sophomore slump, even with Peyton there.
And I look at their schedule, and that's why I had them missing the playoffs this year. I had them first team out, the 8th best team in the AFC. And it's just, I was not even on the Knicks sophomore slump, but it looks real. It looks like it's happening in real time.
Yeah, 100%.
Did you see the stat that he has the most time to throw each week? He's had the best pass protection, basically every metric, and they are just not living up to that in their production. That's
wild.
That's a huge concern.
Wild. That is wild. And you would think, again, for somebody with so much success, smart kid, and with escapability as well, he can escape in the pocket. That's tough. That's a tough stat to hear.
And the last game we've got to talk about, 3-0 San Francisco 49ers win a sloppy, ugly one in the Bay, 16-15 over the Cardinals, who dropped to 2-1. And this was about the way I expected this game to go.
When backup quarterbacks fail or starting quarterbacks fail, big-time guys, they want to go to a couple of places. They want to go to 3 different places. And you know who I'm about to say.
Yep.
The Rams, the Vikings, and the 49ers to go play with Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and Kevin O'Connell. And that's exactly what Mac Jones is doing. And, he looks competent. He literally looks like a competent quarterback. We haven't seen this in years. They're able to go down the field after the safety. They covered 1.5. That was massive. Cardinals covered plus 1.5. The safety was huge. But they're able to get a win, the 49ers. And I think when they start off like this, like history tells you, they're going to at least the NFC Championship game, right?
Yeah. Do you think Mac Jones is a week 1 starter next year? Because think about a couple teams. Obviously, draft plays a role. There's 4 or 5 top 30 quarterbacks this year. But Miami, the Jets, I had a couple other teams, and now I'm just completely blanking. But Miami, the Jets, teams like that could potentially
just trying to think of who the offensive play callers could be. And if there's any connections, like if McDaniel called Shanahan and said, "Hey, I'm in Tennessee, I'm in, I don't know, with the Giants, right? Dart's not ready or something like that. I don't know. No, I'll say no.
Okay, but we've seen this obviously the last few years where you're exactly right. Mayfield, Darnold, they leave McVay or Shanahan.
Wentz is the guy. Wentz is the guy.
Wentz?
Wentz will be the start. Wentz will be a starter somewhere next year.
All right.
Write that down.
Let's move into overreactions. Your first of week 3.
Oh, you're going to love this overreaction. The Texans will clean house after a 4 or 5 win season, and they will be looking at drafting a quarterback with a top 5 to 7 pick in this year's draft. We know this is going to be a good quarterback draft. I'm a big fan of Nussmeier from LSU. I think he could be one of like a Burrow type. I think they will completely clean house after another disgusting season or after a disgusting season after a terrible finish last year. And they're looking, I'm not saying they will, but they will consider drafting a quarterback.
That's a serious overreaction. In the heart of overreactions and what they're meant to be, that is it. Wow. And they do look awful. You know, I'm not high on them at all. That's a
And
serious
D'Amico's done a good job with the defense. They have a great defensive personnel.
He's done a great job head coaching, too. They've won 2 playoff games in 2 years.
But at the end of the day, like, it's got to fall on somebody. You're going to fire the GM and fire and keep D'Amico and fire everybody else. I'm okay with that, too. But I think at least the general manager is getting fired.
I alluded to this earlier in the show. My first overreaction, Packers will not win the division. They will be a wild card team once again. Detroit has a massive game tomorrow night to make me feel better about that. But the Vikings are 2-1. The Bears showed some promise today. I don't think they make a threat to the Packers, though. But Detroit and Minnesota, I still like to make a run at this division. And I think Green Bay will drop a couple of those games because of Love, because of the coaching, and they will fall short of the NFC North.
Interesting. I'm not there. I'm definitely not there. My second overreaction, it kind of ties into you, but not really. The Rams are easily the third best team in football. It goes Buffalo Bills, Philadelphia Eagles, LA Rams. Almost said St. Louis. The Rams are easily the third best team in football. When the Rams want to play different styles on offense, they could do it. They could be a ground and pound team that just completely controls the clock and plays keep away, or they can air it out. They can run play action. They can do whatever the hell they want. They have everything they need, whether it's Kyron, Puka, Devontae, the tight ends, everybody. They got it. I love this Rams team. And defensively, they're very good. They get after the quarterback. They did a great job against the run today with Barkley. Third best team in football. This team is winning the Super Bowl. I said this before the year, and I feel great about it, even after a bad loss today.
Yeah, that's a great overreaction because I do love the Rams even after a loss. My second overreaction, a week after we called the Falcons a playoff team, I think that the Atlanta Falcons will win less than 8 games this year and just have a really, really upsetting season.
Interesting.
And when you talk about teams that will be intrigued about getting a new quarterback in the offseason, Atlanta may fall into that category as well as the coaching staff.
Interesting. And I'm going to I kind of hinted at this before. I didn't do a great job of it. I think Zach Taylor's fired after this year. I think the Bengals will actually move in a different direction. And you talked about the locker room being lost. That could be it. I just think when you see something, when you see somebody so valuable like Joe Burrow go down again for a long period of time, and you're going to have another disgusting dumpster fire year, I think you want to bring somebody, and you see these other offensive play callers that lose a quarterback, but the backup steps in, and at least you're competent. Look at the Cowboys last year with McCarthy and Cooper Rush. They were competent in those games in prime time. I think they're going to end up firing Mr. Zach Taylor because they're going to look so bad on big stages a lot in the middle of this year.
Yep, great point. I think Taylor's been long overdue, and I'm going to throw this out there again. I threw it out there 2 years ago. I think Joe Brady would be a prime candidate to reunite with Burrow and reunite with Jamar Chase. He was the OC at LSU when they won the national championship. I think that Brady could be finally coming into a head coaching job after he's just done a great job in Buffalo.
There we go.
Last overreaction for me, Indianapolis Colts win 12-plus games this year and are a top 3 seed in the AFC playoffs. You look at the Colts' schedule, they have the Rams next week is a loss, but then they play the Raiders, Cardinals, a game against the Chargers. They play the Titans, Steelers, Falcons, Chiefs, Texans, Jaguars, Seahawks, Niners, Jaguars, Texans. The division's very easy, especially if Houston is a dumpster fire the way we expect it. You have a couple tough games against the AFC West and then the Rams too, but I think that the Colts can put on a 12-win year.
I had my friend Billy Smithwick say this to me today. He said he thinks the Colts are going to be the Vikings of last season. I don't think that's a bad take at all. Now, I did follow that up with saying, will they get blown out in the first round? He said possibly. So
I love that.
Great, Billy, with a great comparison there. They're the Vikings of last season.
We love the Smithwicks on the Sunday recap.
Yeah.
That's a great comparison. I'm going to start using it moving forward, but that's going to wrap it up. Your feelings on Sunday Night Football before we get to it.
About to jump in there. Go watch my G-Men. I have zero confidence. I think the Chiefs get right tonight. I'll say 26-13-ish score. Giants don't really move the ball. And I think they'll do a decent job on defense early, but I think it'll break down towards the end.
Yeah, I'd go around the same score. I think Chiefs stay under 30, but they win by roughly 2 touchdowns and probably something like 28-12, 28-14. That'll wrap it up. 5 minutes away from Sunday Night Football. We appreciate you listening to the Sunday recap. We'll be back during the week with a bunch of different shows. Of course, Beat the Odds Gambling Monday and Thursday. Mets are dead. Yanks are back. Tuesday morning, we'll be doing the Burrows. I'll have Bunker Football back on Thursday this week. So much more in the BTO Media universe as well. So we appreciate you sticking with us. We will see you next week on the show, same time at 7:30 on Sunday. We'll lead you right into Sunday Night Football. Enjoy the game tonight. Good luck with the Giants. Mike, you have your San Fran Giants hat on tonight to support your football team. That's great. Kansas City looks to get right. We'll see if they do. And we'll talk to you tomorrow here on BTO Media.